What is up, guys? So for those that don't know me, my name is Zig. I primarily play on Glamdring. So I've played Lotro for about 15 years now. So tons of PvP, tons of PvE. I've played nearly every single class in the game, both PvE and PvP. And I've had a lot of questions about what classes and what trait lines are good in PvP. So today we're hopefully going to answer some of those questions. So we're going to go through each class and their traits specifically and rank them here. So before we jump into this, just for clarification on kind of how we're going to rank these. So we're going to rank these based on how good they are at killing things, how survivable they are, and really just kind of like what weaknesses really hinder the class. And then we're also going to include like easeability of playing, especially for new players, right, that are either new to the Moors or just new to the game. And then a couple of the classes are probably going to get dinged as well for how they play in lag. For those Warden players or Minstrel players out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we'll go ahead and jump right into this. So again, most of these classes I have played. Some of them I have not played out in the Moors, and I've played very little. So I'm going to be taking kind of the experience from other players that have played out there and just from what I've seen in the Moors itself. So we'll start off. So we got Blue Beorning. So Blue Beorning, in my opinion, is just a troll trait line that you can play. If you want to go out there and you want to just survive and troll creeps and not particularly kill anything, but you just pretty much never die, then it's great. Now, Blue Beorning really doesn't bring a whole heck of a lot. Now, you can go some mixed traits with like blue and red and maybe do some damage, but if you're up against a relatively competent creep, you're really not going to be able to do much. Now, Blue Beorning is easy to play. Again, you just pretty much never die. So, with all that being said, we're going to put Blue Beorning in C tier. I wouldn't really recommend it if you actually want to kill things, right? It's pretty much just a tank. You're just going to go out there, you're going to survive, and that's pretty much all you're going to do. Okay. Now, Red Beorning is kind of interesting. So, Red Beorning really doesn't struggle too much with a lot of the cons that some of the other melee classes have, just because of the nature of like how fast they are. They actually do very good damage. They have very good survivability, and they also just get a ton of morale. Beornings just are stacked with morale, feels like. Now, I have not played Red Beorning too terribly much in the Moors, but from what I have seen, Red Beorning is relatively easy to play, and then, of course, all the other things that I said. They also really don't struggle with lag near as much. Now, the downside with Beorning, and this is going to be a trend for all melee classes, is that they struggle with, or can struggle with being kited. Beorning's not so much, but it still can struggle, especially with like spiders out in the moors and throwing webs down and whatnot. So, with all that being said, and just kind of how easy Red Beorning is, I'm actually going to put Red Beorning up in A here. Okay, so they're not going to do as much damage and be as easy to play as some of the classes we're going to be putting into S. And some of you probably know which class I'm going to be talking about as well. So, all right, so next one, Yellow Beorning. So I've actually been seeing a ton of Yellow Beornings in groups, like raids, small groups even. And it's actually been doing really, really well. I've actually been super surprised with Yellow Beorning. So they have a good amount of utility. They've got debuffs. They've got slows. They don't struggle with power, which if you're in a small group, depending on what you're fighting, power can be an issue, right? And again, Beornings are just inherently tanky as well. They have good heals. They have good cooldowns. So I've actually been very, very surprised with Yellow Beorning. So as far as like how easy they are to play, they're probably relatively difficult, I would say, for maybe a new player healing. It's not your classic healer, such as like a Minstrel and a Rune-keeper would be. So I actually am very impressed with Yellow Beorning. I kind of want to put them up into A. I kind of do. You know what? Yeah, let's put Yellow Beorning up into A. I think Yellow Beorning is actually very, very good right now, as far as healers go. So, if you're a Beorning player and you want to do that, by all means, go out there. It looks like a lot of fun. I have not Yellow Beorninged out there, but they've been doing very well. All right, now we potentially get into maybe one of the worst classes in the Moors, which is Brawler. So, Blue Brawler, very similar to Blue Beorning, just kind of worse. I'll be completely honest. So Brawler's got good buffs for the group and whatnot, but honestly, that's kind of all they bring to the table. Whereas Blue Beorning, you can kind of go damage, you can kind of do some damage and really help out. Brawler, you're just not going to do a whole lot of damage. You're going to survive, yes. I just don't think you're going to survive near as long as like a Blue Beorning does. You might get out some buffs, but at the end of the day, you're really just going to get kited. Your cooldowns are very minimal in the Moors. Blue Brawler is just not good. And Red Brawler, honestly, it's kind of the same thing. You've got some cooldowns, you've got some decent damage, right? But you just kind of it feels like you're lacking with being able to be kited. The damage is lacking even with all your buffs, it feels like. And I also have not seen a whole lot of good Red Brawlers out there. The only person I've really seen playing Brawler out there, and it's been more recently, is Dana. Which if you guys don't know who Dana is, very good lore master main. Make sure to check him out on Twitch as well. So yeah, I haven't seen enough good result for Brawler really to put Brawler out of D tier just across the board. It's kind of unfortunate because it is a very cool class. But yeah, we're going to keep Brawler down there in D tier, which is unfortunate. All right, now we get into one of the newer reworked classes, which is Burg. So this might be slightly a hot take. I think that Gambler Burg in the Moors is far better than Red Burg. Now, again, I have not played the new Burg rework out in the Moors, but from fighting them on Creepside, from seeing them 1v1 and just roam around, I think that Gambler Burg is just super good. They have good survivability. They've got burst damage. They have consistent damage. Bleed damage is really good. Looks like a lot of fun to play. People that have been playing the new Gambler Burg have really been enjoying it. So there's definitely that factor in there as well. Now, Burg is going to be very similar, again, to melee classes, where they are going to struggle with getting kited, especially whenever you get into kind of group or raid v raid, group v group, stuff like that. However, it doesn't seem like they struggle near as much, especially with Gambler. So we're going to put Blueberg, Gamblerberg into A tier. I don't want to put them higher just because Burg can be relatively difficult to play, especially with all the changes. Burg is completely different now. So we're going to keep Gamblerberg in A tier. Now Redberg, it does a lot of damage. Their survivability is okay, but again, it still struggles with the same thing that melee classes have, right? And being kited. But because the damage is so good, because it's so new and a lot of people don't know how to fight it, it is very good. So we're going to put Redberg into A tier as well. Now, Yellowberg. So Yellowberg is potentially the best support in PvE. For PvP, I don't think Yellowberg is all that useful. I'm not going to lie. It's got its uses, but the fact that it's a support class and it's a melee class makes it very hard in the Moors, especially with the amount of spiders that run around and you're trying to do your things and you're just getting slowed. I would say Yellowberg is very hard to play. And yeah, it really just struggles. You're not really doing a whole lot of damage. out in the moors on Yellowberg like you are in PvE and stuff like that. So because of the cons there, we're actually gonna put Yellowberg down into C tier. I definitely don't think it's super bad, right? It doesn't need to be in the bottom tier, but it's definitely just not great. All right, now we get into Captain, which is notorious for being good at certain things, but not being great at all of them. The Moors is very similar, right? So starting with Blue Captain. Blue Captain is very good, especially with like Power Restore on Rally Cry and Inspire. You've got decent cooldowns for your group, and that is very important that I say for the group, because Blue Captain's self cooldowns are just not good. Maybe one day they'll make the Shield of the Dunedain targetable on the Captain again, which would be just hilarious. But so Blue Captain has very potent heals, has heal over time, very, very good group support healer. They also have like a couple, they got mitigation buffs. They've got in harm's way if you want to go that route. They've got 2 arms that you can put on the entire fellowship. So it is definitely very good. Again, it is a melee class, and it's a melee healer, which also can make it very difficult. And the fact that healing on themselves is not great, we're going to put it into B tier. So definitely a lot of fun to play in the Moors. I just can't justify putting it any higher than B tier, I'll be completely honest. Yellow Captain. I think Yellow Captain is kind of just dog water. It's not going to do a whole heck of a lot. You're going to survive. Man, I don't know that I can put it on the same playing field as Blue Brawler. We're going to put it in C tier. Okay. So Yellow Captain, you can definitely go a couple routes. You can definitely help support. You've got Last Stand and In Harm's Way, which is super good in PvP content, right? You can live if you want to go with the Grave Wound, incoming healing, and just be straight tank. You can do that. You still provide very good buffs, so on and so forth, right? But you're not going to be doing a lot of damage. You're still just going to get kited to all hell. You're basically just kind of being a buff bot at that point and an incoming healing bot, which can work. It's just not very good. All right, Red Captain. So I've played a ton of Red Captain in PvP. I really, really enjoy Red Captain. Now, however, when I keep talking about melee classes getting kited, Captain is one of those that will just get kited and kited and kited forever. I literally fought a spider probably 2 weeks ago, and I kid you not, I got kited for 2 minutes and 40 seconds without being able to touch him. It was absolutely horrendous. Now, if you can get over that, Red Captain, not only is it a lot of fun, it is relatively easy to play. It's definitely not the easiest class to play, but it's relatively easy. Okay, has good damage, has very, very good self cooldowns to stay alive. It actually has some of the best cooldowns that melee classes have in the Moors. It's very good. They have good outgoing damage debuffs. They've got Oathies, of course, which in group play is amazing. They have one of the most potent incoming healing debuffs. I believe it's 40% right now, and it's a 10-second cooldown, 5-second duration. So very, very valuable. And it doesn't struggle with lag. Okay, so it's really just kind of being kited. But man, outside of that, the amount of damage they provide, the amount of buffs they provide, the self cooldowns, everything like that, I actually think the Red Captain can go up into A tier. And maybe that's some bias from me playing a lot of Captain, but that's personally what I believe. All right, now, man, Blue Champ. Oh, dude, I kind of want to put it on the same thing as Blue Brawler. I think Blue Champ is just troll. You don't do damage. You have no support for the group. Sure, you can live forever, but you don't do anything else besides live. It's just not good. Please do not be playing Blue Champ in groups. You just don't do anything. You really don't. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. blue champ. All you do is survive. You don't do damage. You don't buff. You're still gonna get kited because sprint. You're still slowed in sprint. Just don't do it. If you want to run around solo in troll and have 5-minute fights, by all means play blue champ, right? But it's just not good. All right, now red champ. So red champ still gets kited, does good damage, has very good cooldowns. Champ has definitely fallen off after the kind of like continuous nerfs that have happened over the past like year to year and a half. Now, I think red champ is good. Do not get me wrong. I think it is good. I just think that all the other classes provide more. So we are going to put champ into B tier. There is potential for champ to be into A tier with the other classes. I really think there is. But from my experience and from seeing people play champ and in group content, right? And just the fact that they can be kited like super easily, just like any other melee class, we're going to go ahead and keep them down here into B tier for now. They might push up into A tier, but we're going to keep it there. Yellow champ, bad. Don't play it. It's fun to play, but your damage is bad. Your self cooldowns are bad. You don't provide buffs. You're still going to get kited. You're just going to be doing AoE while you're getting kited. It's just not good. Don't play it in the Moors. Unfortunately, AoE in the Moors is just not good. Aside from like maybe there's a couple classes where AoE is actually still kind of cracked, but yellow champ is just not one of them. All right, blue guard. This spec is super, super troll. You can survive forever. You can shield wall, so it's actually valuable in like smaller groups or group content or in raids even. You can spam interrupts on healers, which is pretty valuable as well. You have good group buffs, right? You got mitigation buffs. You've got the shield taunt. What is it? Plus 20% damage. I forget what it is. Break ranks. There you go. So blue guard actually provides a lot. You just really don't provide damage. It really doesn't matter if you get kited. You've got good debuffs for slows. I actually think blue guard is fairly good. It's super easy to play as well. Just aside from not doing damage, I mean it's pretty good. But it's also kind of very situational, right? Because you're not doing any heals on the group. So if you're really going to play blue guard, it would have to be in like, I would say 4 or more. You need to have a healer with you. If you want to run around duo, sure you can. But as soon as anybody that shows up with any kind of good self heals, you're just not really going to help a heck of a lot. But definitely in group content, blue guard actually is very good. All right, now red guard. Red guard is interesting. Okay, so with red guard, you're going to be doing a little bit less damage than a red champ. You have very good survivability cooldowns between like Warrior's Heart, and you've got Thrill of Danger, potentially Pledge if you kind of go that route. Charge is a very, very good cooldown. I don't know if Charge is still slow immune, but because it's like 60%, you're really just not going to get kited. Guard has a very good slow as well. They've got a little bit of CC. They've got bleed damage. They've got burst damage. Guard has a lot. And it's relatively easy to play, I would say. But it doesn't have the amount of damage I think it needs to have. With it being kind of more focused around bleeds, and the bleeds being able to be potted is definitely very rough for guard. However, I do not think it is a bad class. I would definitely say it's more middle of the pack. I would put it pretty much right on par with red champ. They just have a few things that are better and a few things that are worse than red champ. So I think putting them into B tier is definitely good. All right, now we get into the other most recently reworked class, which is Hunter. So Blue Hunter, super, super fun. It's got honestly very few weaknesses. In this might be biased because we've been playing a ton of Blue Hunter. For those that have seen the YouTube video or seen it on stream, we've played a ton of Hunter. Now, Blue Hunter, really, yeah, it just doesn't have weaknesses. You can't get kited. You don't have inductions, so you don't need to worry about that. It's got very good damage, consistent damage. It's got very good burst damage. It has okay survivability. Super easy to play. Blue Hunter is probably, I would honestly say, probably the easiest class to jump into and play in both new players and in PvP. You've got your ranged, majority of your kit's ranged. You do have some melee skills that you have to get used to, but majority of your kit being ranged just makes it so easy. You have a range slow, so nothing can run away from you. You've got an incoming healing debuff, self heals. You've got CC. It's very, very good. Because of all of that, and it just having very few weaknesses, we are going to put Blue Hunter into S tier. Very, very fun to play. If you want to get into PvP, 100% recommend that being one of the classes if you're relatively new and you want to go out there and have fun. Okay. Now we get into Red Hunter. Red Hunter in the Moors has seen a dramatic decrease in viability from what it was before the rework because of two key things. They got rid of the auto crit or the crit chance from camouflage and from focus, which was the biggest gimmick with old Red Hunter, was that you were able to do so much damage in the first 5 seconds. And now you can't do that. You have super long inductions. Your survivability is just not good because you're just a sitting duck. If you want to do any kind of damage, you have to sit still. You have to induction turn. If anybody has any kind of induction increasing skills, which spiders, wargs, defilers, anything like that, you can't pot it. You just don't do anything. Now, Red Hunter can be good in groups when you're not being targeted. Can definitely do some good damage. But you're relatively not mobile. Poor survivability. Hard to get damage off. Very, very hard to play now with all the changes. Because you can do damage and because you're ranged, we're going to put it into C tier. It's definitely usable. Like, if you really enjoy Red Hunter, get out there and play it, yes. But I would not recommend it. It just feels absolutely awful. I've tried to make it work, and it's just not. All right, Yellow Hunter. So I actually think that in the Moors, Yellow Hunter is probably the best support class for a couple different reasons. So, unlike in PvE where roots really suck, in the Moors, that is not the case. Roots are amazing. Rain of Thorns is an amazing AoE root skill. Hunter does a good amount of damage in yellow out there as well, and while being completely ranged, it's got a spammable slow. It's got rent. It's got debuffs that you can spam 10 plus targets at a time. And that's 10 targets if you're not using target count on your LIs as well. All at ranged. It's super, super good. 100% recommend it. You're not doing a lot of damage. Your survivability is okay. The cooldowns they get, not honestly all that great. But I would definitely put Yellow Hunter into A tier. If you want to play a support class in a group setting, Yellow Hunter, not only is it a lot of fun, but it is super viable. So they did a really good job on the Yellow Hunter rework, in my very honest opinion. Okay, now we get into Lore Master. And I think some of you already kind of know where the red Lore Master is going to go, but we're going to start with blue. I have not seen any blue Lore Masters in the Moors in quite a long time, and I have not played blue Lore Master in the Moors. That being said, I don't really see blue Lore Master being all that good, even if people were running it. It's definitely fallen off from where it was in the past, where the pets were just absolutely crazy. For those that remember Sikkim on old blue LM in that time, that was a hilarious time. But I don't really know really kind of what else it does. You're probably still going to do good damage. You're still going to have, you know, decent buffs. You got Murder of Crows, you got stuff like that. Your survivability is going to be okay, depending on how you trait. But it just doesn't really feel like it would be anywhere close to like what a red captain would provide, even though it is ranged. We're going to put it into C tier. I definitely don't think it's unplayable, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Okay. Red LM is dumb. It is so dumb and OP in every way, shape, and form in the game right now, even after all the nerfs. Red LM does crazy damage. They have very good survivability. They're completely ranged. They have a range slow. They have CC, depending on how they trait, and super easy to play. Inductions are almost non-existent. If you want AoE damage to blow up a group of creeps, you have that. If you want single target damage, you have that. If you want bleed damage, you have that. And guess what? That's all in the all in the kit. You don't even have to trait certain ways for it. It is absolutely cracked. And just like watching Dana play Red LM in the Moors, it is just crazy. Like nobody stands a chance against a Red LM with all the creeps. So it's going straight into S tier. It's borked. If you want an easy class and you want a class that is just crazy good, and you want to have a lot of fun, Lore Master is a ton of fun. Yeah, Red LM is definitely the way to go. Okay, now Yellow LM. Again, I have not seen a ton of Yellow LMs. With the way that some of their kit works, specifically like with Rent in that being on tar and whatnot, it is not very great for the Moors, in my honest opinion. Debuffs are still good. The support for the group is still good. Depending on how they trait, you can actually do a fair amount of damage, very similar to Yellow Hunter. However, I just feel like it's not as potent in the Moors as a Yellow Hunter, but still very good. So we are going to put Yellow LM into B tier. You could potentially put them into A tier with Yellow Hunter, but from what I've seen, I just think Yellow Hunter is probably just the best debuffing support in the Moors right now. All right, Mariner, very fun. Unfortunately, and this is going to be pretty much for all the trait lines for Mariner survivability is just not good. They're a full melee class. They can get kited with poor survivability. It does have good damage. Like Blue Mariner has good buffs. Okay. But very hard to play in the Moors. And with all those cons, and yes, you do good damage, you have good buffs. But it's just, you don't see a lot of Mariners out in the Moors, and that's for a good reason. Okay. So we're going to put Blue Mariner into C tier. Red Mariner is going to go into C tier as well. You have good damage, very similar to like Champ and Guard, but you just don't have the survivability. You just don't. And it's unfortunate. Red Mariner is a lot of fun. And then Yellow Mariner, I can't remember the last time I saw a Yellow Mariner out there. But because of the same reasons for Blue and Red Mariner, we're just going to put it into C tier. This definitely could change. Like if I were to see more Mariners in the Moors, see them doing better, then potentially they go up to B tier, but I honestly don't see Mariner being any better than B tier in the Moors. All right. Blue Minstrel. Blue Minstrel is an interesting one. So Blue Mini has a ton of value in groups, raids, everything, because of the buffs that they provide and the fact that it goes to everybody. The heals are okay, but majority of it is just the fact that the buffs they provide are absolutely cracked. Just like being able to take less damage and pump out more damage just by hitting a button and it's on your entire raid for a minute and a half is just high value. The heals are okay. You've got relatively decent cooldowns. You've got flop if you're getting targeted. You can be relatively mobile while healing. Very good. I personally think that blue mini goes into A tier. I would definitely put it on par with yellow bear for sure. Now red mini is very, very good. So you still provide crazy buffs for your raids. You've got very good damage. Now, and the survivability is actually very good as well in red. You're fully mobile. You can kite. You have range slows. You don't really have a ton of CC, but the amount of damage you can do and buffs you can provide are very, very good. The problem with red mini is that it is very hard to execute well. So for those that don't know, kind of the way that red mini works is how their immediate skills interact with their fast skills. So when you double tap red mini immediate skills, you can go right into your next skill without doing the animation of the immediate skill that you double tapped, making Minstrel very, very hard to play. It's very fast paced if you want to do well. Now, if you're playing top notch, red Minstrel could potentially go into S tier, but because it really struggles with a high ceiling on playability, it also really struggles with lag. If there is lag, any kind of lag, using immediate skills and lag is just absolutely atrocious. So kind of with those, we're just going to put it into A tier. I definitely think red Minstrel is super good. I do not recommend it if you're new to the Moors or you're newer to the game. It's definitely very fast paced. Blue RK. I personally think Blue RK is overrated in the Moors. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it is overrated. The heals are okay. You've got bubbles, of course. You've got DNFs. But you just don't provide really a whole heck of a lot of anything. You've got some decent cooldowns for yourself. You've got fates and stuff like that. But I don't know. Blue Arcade just feels lacking. Particularly more so like in the heal department, I would say. Definitely not bad. Tons of heal arcades in the Moors. Lots of heal arcades that do very, very well. But you also, if you get targeted, and I've seen just arcades just die to like 2 creeps. It's definitely rough. So we're gonna put it into B tier. Definitely not. It's not super hard to play, but I think it's just overrated. So yeah, straight into B tier. All right, Fire RK. Fire RK is very similar, I think, to Red Hunter, right? You're not mobile at all. You have to stand still to do your damage. If you have any kind of debuffs put on you and you're trying to get inductions off, it's just very, very hard. And then when you're targeted, you're not doing damage. You're just not. You can be interrupted out of your main damage within Smoldering Wrath. Survivability is okay. You still have self-motivate and you still got your self-bubbles and stuff like that. But it struggles. I've played it and it's just very similar to Red Hunter. It can be very good in groups if you are not being targeted. So like if you're in a raid or in a 6-man group and you're not being targeted, Red RK can definitely do very well. But it's very niche on when you should play it. So we're going to put that down into C tier. Now, for the other S tier trait spec, which is Yellow RK, straight into S tier. For the exact same reason for Yellow Hunter and Red LM is that it's very easy to play. It is ranged class. RK has a Yellow RK being very mobile, has a lot of survivability, has very high damage with the auto EC crit that crits for 100 to 200k on any creep. It's just so good, and it's so easy to play as well. It has no inductions unless you're using like Essence of Winter. So it's just good in pretty much every aspect of the Moors right now. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's definitely one of the best classes up there with Red LM. All right, now we get into Warden. So for those that have been watching the stream recently, we've been playing a ton of Warden. I've been trying to kind of figure it out and get better in the Moors on Warden and try to make it viable. It's definitely been a struggle. Warden struggles with a lot. Their damage is very slow ramp up. They can be semi-kited. They do have ranged and assailment stance, right? It's not ideal. If you want to do big damage, you want to be in melee, and then you couldn't just get kited. But it's a lot of fun, but especially with the lag, it's very hard to play. So, Blue Warden, super tanky. And I'll be completely honest, it's very similar to like some of the other tank specs, right? It's just very troll. You're able to live. Like I lived against 5 creeps a couple days ago for about 3 minutes. Okay, by myself, with no other creeps around. But you're just not going to kill anything. Your damage is so minimal. You could go Blue Warden and put up incoming healing debuffs, which is actually not a bad idea, right? So you kind of have some utility there. But honestly, that's really where it ends. Blue Warden, it just doesn't do a whole lot. It's definitely better than Blue Champ, in my very honest opinion. So we're going to put that into C tier. And yeah, I don't really see Blue Warden just being very, very good. Okay. Red Warden. So a lot of what I just said. Very long ramp up time for damage. The bleeds are great if you can get them up. Red Warden is very squishy. The survivability is definitely not great. You're pretty much your only cooldown is Never Surrender, which can be deteriorated by incoming healing debuffs, which are every single class has one at this point. So it's definitely rough. It struggles in the lag. If you want to do good damage, you have to be in melee and you can be kited. But with the perks of it, it does good damage. It has incoming healing debuff, which is very potent, and you can spam it, unlike other classes. It's got a range slow. It's got a range stance. It's definitely okay. It's not near as bad as like Red Hunter, Red Mariner, or Red RK. But with it being hard to play, slow ramp up time on damage, we're going to put it into B tier. Definitely don't recommend it if you're new to the Moors. It's definitely more of like once you get more experience with it, because you're going to struggle. I've been struggling with getting the rotation down and kind of finding that balance between being tanky enough to get my damage off and while still doing enough damage. It's definitely very tough. I ended up just going full glass and just hoping things kind of bleed out. So, all right. Yeah, so guys, that is our tier list. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are down in the comments. We will be doing more tier lists as well. We'll probably do a Creepside tier list because we've been having a ton of questions about like what creep class is good when which ones are lacking. So we may do that and kind of discuss some of those. And then we will also be doing a PvE tier list to really help people kind of understand like what classes are the best for PvE. Which that may end up being outdated here relatively soon with the new expansion coming out. Because unlike PvP, where these classes and their rating basically don't or won't change a whole lot, PvE is going to be completely different because we don't know what the set bonuses are, what the instances are going to be like, stuff like that. So we'll definitely do a PvE one, and then once the expansion comes out and we kind of get into it, we will update that one as we go along. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the end of the tier list. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Also come out to these streams. We stream usually Monday through Friday, starting at 3 Eastern. And yeah, guys, until the next one, we'll see you then.